George Kavassilas has been having contact experiences with extraterrestrials for more than 20 years. He's been working also with secret space programs, and recently he's begun to work with a returning group of admirals who have achieved a very high spiritual level and have involved him and some of the colleagues that he worked with during secret space programs in some very important disclosure work, which is going to change the world forever.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome, George, to the show. Great to have you back.
Michael, thank you so much. It is an absolute joy to be back with you.
Well, it has been too long since we did our last interview, and we have covered in the past your experiences with this returning group of, you call them Jedi Admirals, and how they came back with a lot of wisdom and have been playing a big role behind the scenes. And you told me that you just recently had an important experience with the Admirals and some of your colleagues from the secret space program. So, yeah, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, 2 nights ago, I was in a conference call with my team, and the 3 Admirals showed themselves. They turned up, not in a visual sense, but to me personally and energetically. And I could see one of them and feel them. And what was shared and the experience we all had was phenomenal. Like, it was really next level. And I've got information to share that is absolutely going to blow open the entire disclosure process and the entire exopolitical space. And I don't say that lightly. Okay.
Yeah, maybe for those that are still new to this, why don't you just explain who your colleagues are that you had this meeting with, and how that relates to these admirals then just kind of showing up and telepathically communicating with the group through you.
Yeah. I have a group of, I call them my bros, they're my brothers, and we have known each other for many years. One of them I've known, 2 of them I've known since 2011. And the others I've known since 2015. And it's been a very close bond that we've had. We truly feel like brothers. And then through that last few years, we've begun to realize that we've all worked together in the SSP. And we've been supporting each other and mentoring each other through our awakening process, or shall I say, through our remembrance process. Because at a young age, you get taken into these organizations, and then they do that split in the consciousness, and they have various methods of doing that. And that's why I relate to Erica and Andrea and Michelle so much in the work that they're delivering, because I've walked a very similar path. And
just for those that don't know, you're talking about Erica and Marina, Michelle Portofria, as 2 of the people that have come forward recently as galactic envoys, but they were abducted through their life. And of course, Dr. Andrea Martin, who has a similar story.
Yeah, apologies. My microphone was a bit further away, so the audio should be much better now. Yeah, exactly. That's who I'm referring to. And I've got to be honest, when I feel into Erica's energy, there's a familiarity there. There's definitely a familiarity there. And also with Andrea and even Michelle, it's like these beings are beings that I know, but I don't have any distinct memory of in the background. I call it on the other side of the veil. We just say the other side, because it is a membrane of conscious awareness, it's like a wall. Anyway, the partition, and we've got our persona for the SSP, and then we have our everyday persona for our incarnations. And in that other persona, that wall between the 2 for the 5 of us is now breaking down, and we're getting peaks and bits dribbling through from our experiences coming through into our waking consciousness, and it's really quite challenging to deal with. At the same time, it's very validating because of we've known this. It's like this deep knowing you have inside of you throughout your whole life, and only now, with all the inner work that we've all done, only now is the validation and the verification that we're not crazy, we're not making any of this up, and it's really starting to come out and show itself.
Okay, that's important. And so your feeling and this kind of resonance, you believe that Erica, Andrea, and Michelle are genuine.
Oh, 100%. You know, the beauty of it is when I speak with the admirals, that's exactly the same flavor and energy of when Andrea is speaking with her husband. And I do apologize. I forgot the name. He's one of the Ika. He's her husband, Ika. So he's not one of the vowels. A vowel is a title. Yeah, it's really interesting. The what they're sharing and the way they're going about it, and the actually energy of them and their expression, their emanation, because that's what you look for, is real. It's genuine. And I have, like I said, a energetic memory of the three of them, but I'm feeling a closer connection to Erica. There's something there that I wrote back to her. She wrote to me and reached out, and I wrote back and I said, yeah, I'd love to explore that further, because Erica actually mentioned that on the other side in that space that she remembers having a meeting with me.
Oh.
And I know that I'm playing a very senior mentoring role in that space.
Fantastic. Well, I have a new interview with Erica, which is coming out on August 7 and on Rumble and YouTube. So it will be out when people see this. That'll be my second interview with Erica. And yeah, she's got amazing information.
Yeah, so I want to come back now to the interview with that I did with not the interview, the interaction that I had with the three admirals, and what they have to share. And the way it had transpired was we were on this conference call, and they turned up. I was out on the deck there, and they turned up. So I'm here on a call with and my son. One of my sons was on the call as well, my younger son, and because he's now joining in on these conference calls and through this whole process, because both my boys are involved, and they're so gentle. This is the whole thing, because of all the argy-bargy and all the games and all the shenanigans that we've been going through. It really forces you to dig deep and work things out and do all your inner shadow work, you know, to look at the parts of you that are actually attracting this in. And that way you take responsibility for it, and you know you're not a victim, right? Because it's all part of the process of evolution and your own soul's evolution and timeline. So I'm now connecting with the admirals, because there was a period of time where I actually told them to go away and leave me alone because I was struggling so much mentally and emotionally, and I went through a really difficult period, and just constant attack, and people around me getting impregnated by this distorted consciousness program. And you just see them flip. They just do a turn. And so my crew around me, and especially some of them that have been really on this tight journey with me for many years, they've just seen throughout the years people all nice and friendly, and they come with good intentions, and then they do a 180 on you for no good reason. And it's really, really quite fascinating how this whole process happens. Now, through all that, I've really learnt a very, very keen power of discernment. And now the way I'm interacting with the three admirals is very relaxed. It's very matter of fact. It's nothing but really deep grace in the connection. And it's not in the head. It's not just raw telepathy. It's full spectrum. And that's the unified field way. And that's how also an indicator you can see that, like in Andrea's conversation, which I listened to a couple of days ago with Ika, is it?
Ika.
Ika. That was fantastic because she was just so natural. Like he's sitting next to her talking, but the thing is, she could feel his emotions. See, and when you're in that degree of communication, that means you're going full spectrum. So you're getting all of it. You're getting the mental, you're getting the psychological, you're getting the emotional. You're feeling the whole spectrum of the other individual you're speaking with, and I find that to be an absolute cracker. Because these are key indicators of a full spectrum communication. And that was the way it is now for me and the Admirals. It's
I relate to that. I can feel that. I remember a couple of things. I remember being with Elena Denham, and we were in the car. Actually, this happened a few times, and she was communicating with Thorhan. And while she was communicating with Thorhan, I got a real empathic connection to him. I could feel him.
You can feel.
I've been able to feel him ever since. That's not to say I communicate with him or see him, but I could feel him. And the same thing with Valiant Thor. That I met Frank Strangers back around 2008, and he was talking about Valiant Thor, and I could feel this really sweet, gentle, loving energy coming from him as he's talking about Valiant Thor. And so when Andrea Martin was communicating with Valiant Thor, just one of her recent YouTubes, I could feel it. I felt the same feeling. That was like, okay, she's really communicating with the same Valiant Thor that Frank Strangers communicating. But there was these are just feelings I could feel. I couldn't see anything. I'm not communicating, but I can feel. So I guess that I've known for a long time that I'm a natural empath, but that's about it.
So those feelings, that is us seeing through the eye of our heart. Okay, so that's why that's what's different about our species. We have that capacity. It's one of our most powerful senses, is to feel. And I'll tell you now, whenever you're doing this sort of work, you've got to feel to be real. If you're just cerebral, you're going to miss so much information, and it's a very sterile approach. It's a very detached approach, and it's a very fear-based approach. Those of us who are willing to be vulnerable, to open up and take it all in and feel it, we're the ones who don't have the fear. The ones who are shut off and only approach it from a cerebral, that says to the universe, I'm terrified. I'm terrified. And I want to restrict and limit the frequencies just to an intellectual, computational level, right? So this is how you differentiate between those who are in the natural way of love, the natural way of life, the natural way of light, and in this full spectrum relationship with a unified field, compared to the cerebral approach, which is just the pursuit of consciousness only. It's just mind energy, right? But we've got to open up, go spirit, go heart, soul, the whole lot, and not be afraid to do that. And this is the measure out there when you're meeting extraterrestrials and interdimensional intelligences. This is how they measure you. They want to measure the quality of your conviction. All right? That's the key. How much do you trust yourself? Are you in trust with your own soul? How much? Right? And how much do you back yourself? How much do you truly stand in the authentic conviction of your soul's emanation? That is the key indicator for every interdimensional and multidimensional life form when you come across them. That's what they measure inside of you. And when you have that doubt, that self-doubt, and you lack that conviction, they're going to play you like a puppet.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of this distinction. How do you tell the difference between a positive extraterrestrial and a negative extraterrestrial? That a positive extraterrestrial will always get you to focus on who are you?
Correct.
Well, what is that connection to who are you?
Correct.
Whereas the negatives will always say, what do you want?
Correct.
They will exploit your desires. They will say, what do you want? What do you want the most in life? I will help you achieve that. And that's how the negatives get in and manipulate us.
True, 100%. Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree with that. Okay, so now let's go over to the big topic. And what I want to say to all of you, to you, Michael, and everyone listening, is what I'm about to share is so big that I really did have a lot of problems with it in the beginning. I've really gone through a very deep vetting process with myself and with my team. I mean, while we were speaking to the admirals, you got to realize that my team, and the admirals know what we're doing. We're cautious. We're not these little gullible children. In fact, we're vetting them the whole time. We're scrutinizing them. We're asking them questions, and we're feeling the energy of every response. And the problem I have right now is I'm still trying to reconcile my cognitive difference because the information is so potent. So I'm going to say to everybody, please use your own discernment with what I'm about to share. For me, I'm in the space of this feels real to me, and that's why I'm here sharing it. So time is going to show us if this is real or this is not. Yeah, but I'm here because I'm standing behind it being real. Yeah, and we'll see. And I ask for deep consideration on the knowledge that I'm about to share, because this is the game changer right here. Yeah. All right. In October last year, you will recall that I sent you a message in Signal. And that message was a message from the admirals. You can look it up on your phone. It's still there. The admirals have now, their message was, we have now assumed, and this is the old fashion of the word assume, the meaning of it, not what it means today. We have assumed position of full management and responsibility of the disclosure process. Do you recall that message, Michael?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Back in October 24. Okay. What has happened since then? Well, I'll tell you some of the things that have happened. They have completely leaned into the Federation. You know what I mean by leaned into it, yeah? And what they discovered, because the three admirals, and I recommend people go back and listen to the previous recordings on the three admirals, because I shared a lot about their background, the machinations, the journey they took on, and we don't have the time here to go over that again. So I do recommend everybody go back and listen to those if you're not really that familiar with what I'm sharing in regards to the three admirals. But in summary, they are, I worked in a department in the secret space program where it was one of the most tightly kept secrets on the planet, if not the most tightly kept secret on the planet, this department that I was operating with. And I was operating in other parts of the SSP as well. But once I really started focusing in this area, the other ones faded away. And this area was, they ended up with three admirals, and they wanted the three. It has to do with their soul's journeys. Everything's operating on like a creational level here. And they took this journey, which was the original Star Trek journey, a genuine Star Trek style journey. It was altruistic in nature, and three admirals, three craft, and they went briefed before they left with many extraterrestrial groups, and there was a whole map of a journey in the beginning laid out for them to meet with different groups and then learn all different things about their cultures and also their technologies and their ways of life. Now, they went off on this big journey and they came back completely changed. And how can you not be changed by a journey like that? It's natural that that's going to happen. And they're operating on a level where they now have a clear conscious connection to the galactic intelligence. They have a clear connection to the entire creational space, the unified field of the galactic realm. Therefore, they also nested inside of that. We have the solar realm and the planetary, and they have access to all of that on a creational level. and so does the intelligence that is their craft. They've got this. It's not technological intelligence as you would know it in our world today. These are really organic intelligences, and they operate in clear conscious relationships.
Just hold there. Just hold there. I just got a message saying the connection was lost.
Yeah, I'm still seeing you.
Okay, well, why don't you continue this? This obviously is a hiccup in the restream system, so please continue.
Yeah. And these admirals are now operating in a way where they're very, very opened up from the inside out. They're very connected to the unified field, and so is the intelligence of the craft. These craft, the intelligence in them, are living intelligent beings, and they are the craft. And so it's a different kind of approach because you're working with different kinds of beings, and the craft is like another friend. It's like another human, basically. And if you remember Data from the Star Trek series and things like that, it's very, very similar to that, except the craft doesn't have a humanoid form walking around. It's just you're connecting to the craft itself. It doesn't need to do that. And the way it operates, like in the medical areas and things like that, it doesn't need at all another human form to do things. And so because of that, they are now operating on a level that's deeper, okay, not higher in authority, deeper in creation, and therefore natural authority, because it's an innerarchy, if you want to put it that way. If you're going to use an archy at all, it's an innerarchy on a creational level, not a hierarchy. That's the God program. And they now have taken charge of the disclosure. They leaned into the Federation, and what they discovered, because they're observing from a creational level, very similar to what happened to the Jedi in Star Wars. My friends actually said to me, that analogy's in Star Wars. And I went, oh, shit, it is too. Oh, excuse my language. It is too. And so the analogy is the generals, the admirals were able to lean in the Federation, and they were able to observe, because they're operating from a creational level, the Palpatines that were in the Federation.
Oh, okay. So this whole infiltration of the Federation, there's some truth to that.
100%. The detail will vary. I'm going to give you the detail from the admirals.
Okay.
And you're dealing with a group of Palpatines, not one Palpatine, but a group of them. And if you remember in the Star Wars movie, not even the Jedi could see them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not even the Jedi could see Palpatine and what he was up to. And there was the dark force moving behind the scenes. You have no idea how much truth there is to that. The Federation could not see. And the associated extraterrestrial races, they did not have the capacity to see, because they're not operating to the depth of creation that the admirals are operating from. And they were able to then go in and instigate a regime change.
Oh wow, that's huge. So
not every member in the Federation was replaced, yeah, but several high-ranking members and all of their minions throughout the infrastructure. The admirals have cleaned it all out, and you're going to hear different stories about that.
Okay, well, Andrea Martin was very vocal about that the Federation had been infiltrated, but she also clarified that the Federation had been cleaned out, that those compromised individuals, that these Palpatines that were really part of a sinister force, Sith Lords, if you like, that they were identified and they were replaced. So that's amazing. So you're confirming that the Federation was cleaned up because there were these admirals, or sorry, not admirals, but there were these senior officials in the Federation that were slowing down the disclosure process.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They were basically hijacking it. and still nefarious sort of like negotiations and deals going on behind the scenes. It's like, I'm just going to come out and tell you straight, the whole concept of like a Sith Lord and that type of consciousness and that type of energy is more real. It's a reality than you can imagine. It's more real than you can imagine, because that's the way this really sophisticated evil consciousness, it loves posing as love and light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got to look out for.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah. I've come across people in my 20 plus years of exopolitics research that have been quite savage towards me, but they always finish off in love and light.
I know that's the passive aggressive, approach from that type of energy. Yeah, I know. It's like a condescending note just to end with, just to really jab that dagger.
And their supporters really buy it. Oh, look, he finished off love and light. So here's the light. Salla's the bad one.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, fair enough. Because I don't finish off love and light. I don't want to, why do I need to like suck up to people and say love and light? Just like if you don't believe me, okay, no problem. I'm not going to get upset over that. But yeah, these types that are manipulative, they finish off in love and light.
Yeah, if I get the sword out on someone in an email or whatever, I finish off with love, liberation, and fortitude.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm letting them know I'm standing true, and I ain't taking any crap from them. This is my fortitude. This is where my boundaries, where I draw the line. So, we need to have these boundaries in play. All right. So now, here we go. And so there's been a regime change in the Federation, which is great because now, I told you the priority was the children and the technological intelligence. They were the two priorities months ago with the Admirals, and they, in the background, have been cleaning house in the solar system. Big time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And back in 2023, they started making their move. Now, we got to talking about a year ago, and they were already in their disclosure process. It had already begun. And I'm only just becoming aware of it in recent times, of the full nature of it. Like, it's really, really substantial in nature, what they're doing. And so back in early 23, it was a signal that was sent. They're underway. This was when I first started really consciously working with the Admirals, and when their disclosure process was engaged. And the clean out throughout the Federation, and now through the military-industrial complex, through the secret space programs, the Admirals are working with so many different groups and beings and really good factions within the SSPs. And everything right now is getting cleaned out bit by bit. And it's filtering through into the military-industrial complex. The Admirals are in meetings and negotiations with other extraterrestrial groups and the Trump administration. There's briefings taking place. And I'll tell you this, there was a meeting, and I'm going to wait to see other operatives share this knowledge. The Admiral shared with me that they were involved in a meeting in recent days on Excelsior.
Excelsior, okay.
With the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in a briefing, and they're letting the Federation know exactly what they are doing, because this is our disclosure. It does not belong to the Federation. It does not belong to any extraterrestrial group. This is the disclosure and the awakening of our species. I hope you comprehend what I mean by that when I say that. Sorry, I'm just looking out. I always take a note which birds turn up out there while I'm talking.
Okay.
All right, so this... Yeah.
So I was just going to say, so it's like the Admirals are wanting the Federation to acknowledge that this is a human disclosure controlled process of the extraterrestrials rather than something that's being controlled by the Federation.
This is our planet.
Mm-hmm.
This is our realm. Yeah. In
Right.
co-creation with Sophia, the planetary intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whatever extraterrestrial groups or empires, whatever they think they can claim, whatever position they postulate themselves into, whatever authoritarian position they postulate themselves into, right? They look foolish in front of the overwhelming majority of life in the universe that actually resides in the natural way of love, the natural way of life, the natural way of light. So here we have these imperial forces that are coming here that are postulating themselves and claiming authority over us and seeking dominion over us. That is not going to be allowed to happen. All of that imperial ideological stuff is now coming to an end. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just clarify exactly what is happening here when you're talking about this is our planet, that Sophia is like the soul of the planet, and I know you, and I know there are many others, but you in particular, that you put a lot of work into connecting with Sophia, with the planetary consciousness, as you do with the solar consciousness, and that beings at a higher, we all have the choice to do that you can connect with consciousness at bigger and bigger levels. And so people who can do that connect with the planetary consciousness, the solar consciousness, the galactic consciousness, that they represent this kind of natural way of life that you've been describing, whereas these imperial forces that come in, whether they are part of the Draconian Empire or whether it's the Galactic Federation, which has a contrary role, like, we're going to snuff out evil wherever we see it, but it's very hierarchical and military oriented, that is not necessarily connected, or both of those are not really connected to the spirits of the planets and the stars.
100%. There's the organic way, the natural way, yeah, which is in the unified field of creation, one with, people call it source, people call it universal intelligence, and that's the natural way. And then there's the imperial way, empires, gods, royalty, tech, high tech, a different flavor. Empires always have a different flavor of technology from the folks living in the natural way. Okay, so this distinction needs to be made. It is crucial that we make this distinction because the external narratives come from empires, and the unified field emanates from within outwardly, because we're already connected to it on a creational level. The fact that we exist says it all, So this change of approach in our psyche will change everything for everybody. It will. When you change your approach, that's when you will change the outcome.
Okay, so now with the admirals taking charge of the disclosure project, or the process on behalf of all humanity, and that the Federation is no longer in control. I don't know if that's the right word, but that they gave them the Federation, declared to the Federation that we're in control of the disclosure process now, that things are going to start moving forward. Because up until recently, I studied the US and around the world, the disclosure process happening in parliaments and executive government, and they seem to have been going kind of like backwards recently, but now we're at a point where it seems that things can improve. We can actually have genuine disclosure.
Only on the public face of it, but even you go deeper into the public face of it, you're going to see that now there's all these moves to for emergency powers now going to NORAD, to COG, to everybody, the preparations that are going on, because the briefings have occurred with the president already, the admirals, the Federation, the president, everyone's been briefed. That's the scramble that's going on. And I can tell you, reaching and being inside that space with the three admirals, everybody in the SSP domains is on amber alert. Okay. Now, the whole space is on amber alert. And I'll tell you why. It's because of 3i Atlas. And we're going to get into that deeply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know what that is. And I know who it is.
That.
And I know who it is. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Great.
And that's the big bombshell I'm going to share with you. All right.
Okay. Well, before we get there, you mentioned something. You mentioned Trump being briefed on the Federation and the admirals. Because we've had recently David Grush confirmed to Representative Eric Burlinson that Trump was briefed about extraterrestrial life, and there's this Italian newspaper that also talked about Trump being briefed about Project Preserve Destiny. So there you have corroboration that Trump's being briefed, and back in 2020. You had then the Israeli professor Haim Eshed saying Trump was briefed about the Galactic Federation. So you're now confirming there's yet another source that Trump has been briefed on all of this.
100%. And he's been like, and we know he was groomed from a young age. He was actually mentored by Nixon. And it was in those years that he first met with the Federation.
Oh, wow. Because I know a lot of people talk about his uncle Eric Trump being a part. Sorry, not John Trump. John Trump being a part of the secret space programs because of his expertise. But you say it was Nixon rather than his uncle that kind of like really read him into all of this stuff.
Well, it's different style of mentoring in slightly different areas, but a lot of overlapping between the two, between his uncle and Nixon, and other individuals that were in and around Nixon's administration, and that's where it all began. And he's been groomed for this position for a long time, and I'm still going to stay with his trajectory. Whether it happens or not, we're not entirely sure, but this is where it's heading for Trump to become world leader, world representative. And we're going to get into that because the moment disclosure, which is about to occurs, right? We're not far off from it. All the maneuvering in the background, the scrambling that's going on in Trump's administration and in all administrations around the planet, right? The maneuvering of the chess pieces. This is the subject. This is the topic that is the scramble and the tension behind the US administration, behind all administrations on the planet at the moment. Because every single space program knows what I'm about to say at the highest levels. In the lower ranks, I don't know, but it's now the edicts are being issued through the ranks. Yeah. So what I'm going to share with you is now coming through the ranks in the SSPs. This information I'm about to share with you, and it's epic in nature. So the admirals took control, management, and responsibility of the disclosure process, and they are engaging in this firsthand, and I mean firsthand. You see, it's the responsibility of our species to do this. It's not the responsibility of an extraterrestrial race to instigate, to manage disclosure for us. It is not their responsibility. It's ours. Okay. So who's in a really good position to do that? That is the three admirals. And they've been entrained for this position. They've taken the journey. And you know how it works in natural law, LRE law, the real law of the universe. Those who have walked the path have the natural authority, because the real university is the path that you walk, right? Not an institution. That's something different, okay? That's a different type of educational institution, right? But the real university is the path that you walk. And so those who have walked the path have the actual experience and have the natural authority. Hence me sitting in this position today and speaking to you, Michael. I've walked the path and I continue to walk the path. Therefore, I have a natural authority. And, you know, imperial authorities can try and knock me off, you know, and put me down and persecute me and ridicule me all they like. But the three admirals operate this way, and this whole department of the SSP that I work with operates in this manner. And these are the values and the philosophical values and virtues that we operate from. So it's more organic and it's more natural, and it's more in acknowledgement of natural authority. And so basically, I'm just going to drop it now. 3i Atlas is Gerald, the lead craft of the Admirals, cloaked.
Interesting. So 3i Atlas is an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
No,
and
no, it's not.
That's
3i Atlas is the lead craft of the lead admiral, cloaked.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So then that would be, I guess. Well, would you say the three admirals are still part of the Solar Warden program? To say it would be part of the returning Solar Warden program that was sent off 20 years ago to explore the galaxy.
Correct.
Interesting.
Elements of that. And they're now back and they are running the show. And I connected in with the admiral that is in that craft. He goes in and out of that craft. Yeah. And we're seeing it as a rock. You'll notice they're saying that there isn't any like normal gaseous particles falling off it. Right. There's your clue right there. It's a hologram. Yeah. It's a cloak. And and I don't have the actual name of the intelligence of the lead admiral, the craft of the lead admiral. I call him Gerald. That's not what they call him. That's not what I call him when I'm in that space. But out here in the public with my non-SSP persona, right, George, I call him Gerald because that is the closest logos pattern that I've got to actually, you know, being familiar with his energy. And he's a dude. You remember we're talking with we're communicating with an intelligent being. You know, a natural intelligence. So what the capability of Gerald is that craft can then present an image, but not only an image, whatever technology goes towards that, they feel it, they read it, and send signals back in direct response on the level of that technology. So if you put an electron microscope towards that hologram, you're going to read that it's a rock. And you'll even get readings of the elements and its composition. This is how sophisticated these cloaking programs are. They read the technology coming at them. Gerald reads the frequencies and the wave patterns of the electron microscopes, of the satellite scanners, of the Federation scanners, everything that's coming at that object, Gerald is aware of, and he's responding in kind, right? So everybody's seeing what Gerald wants them to see in alignment with the disclosure process. Yeah, the unfoldment of disclosure.
So can you just explain, last year when we talked about the return of the admirals, so at that time you described the three Jedi admirals returning, but now the lead ship of the admirals has come in, and that's 3i Atlas. So when the admirals returned last year, how did they return?
Oh, they were here before then. Like this program with the lead craft with Gerald, I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of this until recently, that they began the disclosure process back in January 23. That's when the signal was first sent. And as I'm going along, I'm finding out more about the plan because I didn't know. I'm not fully briefed on it. I've got limited briefings out here in the public, and I can only say certain things. But now it's in full swing. Now I'm getting more access. And also because I'm ready. I wasn't ready to step into this role in the way that I'm doing it now.
Okay,
Yeah, I had to
so
go through my own personal journey. Yeah.
the admirals have been here since 2023. So they came in on some other ships?
No, they're 3 craft, but the lead craft went straight into that position of 3i Atlas, and the other 2 came in. And the admiral that's in 3i Atlas and the craft itself, this is the amazing technology, because they showed me that even if someone tries to fire a missile or a weapon at 3i Atlas, they can even make it look like what Gerald would do is he'll just go through, he'll disappear interdimensionally, instantaneously. Yeah. And a missile can hit it and they can make it look like it blows up like a rock. And that is all a hologram.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how advanced this technology is, right? So just give you an idea. So a lot of the telescopes and electron telescopes, etc., that are all the scanners that are on it, Gerald is reading the soul journey and the intention of every operator and every department and every group, and then gives readings, responses according to those principles. So you're going to get different groups are going to have different readings from 3i Atlas. And what it does also is it's getting everybody talking about it. Okay. So I'm coming out and I'm sharing with you what's going on, the actual intention, the original intention behind 3i Atlas and what it represents. And I want to go deeper into that because it's the role that it's playing that's really, really important here. Okay,
Yeah,
because their approach to disclosure is absolutely it's total genius.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing that because I know there's been a lot of kind of speculation that 3i Atlas is going to be used as part of a false flag operation, blue beam, that the deep state is going to make it look like this is some kind of invasion, that they're going to do that. But we always suspected that when genuine extraterrestrials show up, that the deep state will make it look like an invasion. But so it sounds like 3i Atlas is real. It's a benevolent craft, and that the deep state's going to make it look like it's part of an invasion fleet.
Correct. But it's our admirals, the most senior representatives of the secret space programs, right, for our planet out there, and it's their responsibility. And I could tell you, Michael, when I connected in with the lead admiral in the craft in 3i Atlas, because I've been connecting with it and connecting with him and connecting with Gerald, that is 3i Atlas, and I felt his emotions. This is the moment for this admiral fulfilling this role. You have no idea. He is hurtling through our solar system in a spacecraft that is providing the catalyst, the trigger, the awakening for his entire species. Do you know what that does for a being? To feel, I felt the elation. I felt the relief that we're finally underway, that we're finally doing it. The joy, the excitement. This is him fulfilling his sole purpose. Like those kind of emotions and those energies, mate, it is just so beautiful that this moment has arrived, and this is the joy they're operating from. It's, they can get serious, and they are very serious at times, but you'll be surprised when you connect with these 3 admirals, how much joy, how much love, honor, and respect there is from these beings, because they have genuinely gone and done the work, the inner work, and they've come back transformed.
Yeah, that's very important, that we're talking about enlightened human leadership that are taking control of the disclosure process, as opposed to all of these corrupt elites, with the exception of Donald Trump and I guess other Earth Alliance leaders that are working with him, that are collaborating with these returning admirals.
Correct. And, I won't go as far as saying that Mr. T is completely clean, but he's certainly not a pedophile. Just want to clarify that. I'll be totally shocked if that turns out to be the case, but I just do not see that in the experiences that I've had in that space. I don't have direct memory with him. I do have a direct memory with Elon, and I have a direct memory with someone else in his, which I will not mention, which I mentioned to you privately, but I won't mention that person's name. And I've had a personal interaction with that being as well. And I could tell you in that space, the energy of ethics and principles and virtues that they're operating from, there's just I do not see that. I think that's just all slander and misinformation, personally.
And when you say you've been in that space, just for the viewer's interest, well, we're not talking about a dream or a vision. We're talking, or astral travel or anything. We're talking you were physically taken to Washington, D.C.
in meetings.
To meetings. Okay, that's very important for the viewers to know. So George was taken physically to Washington, D.C. for meetings because,
correct.
I guess. Well, what is it that they're looking for from you in particular? I mean, sure, the admirals are there. I mean, are they looking to you to give a perspective on behalf of who? Sophia, the planet, or is it being a conduit for the voice of the admirals, or for the general public? Why do they bring you into these high-level meetings?
They bring me in because they're seeking counsel. They've monitored everyone on the planet who's saying what. And, they know me from within the space program anyway.
Okay.
So this is going to happen to many others, people like yourself, Michael. This will happen eventually. Yeah. I've already shared with you about the pathways, potential pathways that I've seen for you. And that, your journalistic pathway is going to open up, and then it's going to morph into a diplomatic role, connecting in with your soul and your being. And that's why they tried to take you out, because you're a major player down the track in the process. So, I'm not saying that to stroke your ego. It actually, the weight of the responsibility of that gets challenging when you sit with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have a close brush with death, I mean, I used to think I would live to 100 because my grandfather lived to 100, so I took it for granted I lived to 100. Now, every day when I wake up, I'm thankful that I've got another day, because it's like, that's how close it was. And sure, I have an ego, but it does keep you humble when you know that you can be gone anytime. It's just like, oh wow, okay, I've got another day. I'm glad.
The good thing about that, it puts you more in the flow state too. Yeah. Because you've let go. You don't have this background worry about your own safety, health, and well-being. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like in the flow state, and you're in trust, and more ease and grace appears in your life as a result. Right. It's beautiful.
You have been asked to participate in these high-level meetings because of your earlier work with the secret space programs, and you believe, or you were told, that others will be coming in with kind of similar backgrounds, and that would include me in the future. So why don't you just resume and tell us more about these meetings? And you mentioned Elon Musk attending, so and technological intelligence. I mean, that's a synonym for artificial intelligence, I guess. So why don't you tell us about the role that's playing in the disclosure process?
Yeah, so part of the counsel I'm giving in the background, especially to people like Elon, and all tech aerospace giants, all the CEOs in these meetings, we're providing information like, you do realize that you'll never create a benevolent technological intelligence, program, because you're using a corrupted energy source. So
You want to
That's the
explain that?
problem. Yeah, 100%. You see, it's all the technology we're using is functioning with an energy source running through all that technology that is sourced through violation, through greed, through fear, through control, domination, manipulation. And these are all the qualities. So your approach to sourcing energy, your approach will be infused into the energy source. So the dynamics of it's how you approach accessing the energy will be infused. And all of your subconscious patterns in your approach to accessing energy will be infused into that energy source. And when you pull that energy source out and create it, whether it's nuclear and you're destroying a solar system every time you split an atom, by the way, because of the fractal structure, imagine the karma on those scientists, right? And it's true. I'm not making anything up. Yeah. And every time we're using coal, which you could say is a lot cleaner energy, and it's true, you'd be surprised how clean coal is as an energy. You're still raping the earth, right? It's way cleaner and less destructible than wind, solar wind, or panels, right? A lot cleaner, believe it or not. Yeah, that's true. 100% true.
Explain that, because that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
mystery to all of us, many of us.
Yeah. Look, the amount of energy it takes to make the solar panels, it's the way they're manufacturing them, and the amount of energy it takes to and the elements that you're using to create the panels and to create the wind turbines is outstrips by at least 10 to 1 the energy that they create through their time. Okay, so it's just idiocracy from the beginning, right? It takes more energy to make the infrastructure for that photovoltaic cell and the panels and the big wind turbines. You're using that much more time, energy, and resources to make them than they actually create throughout their entire lifetime. So it's just ridiculous. The whole thing's absurd from the beginning. Anyway, so when you pull energy sources like that out and you're using these energy sources, that means in the energy is all that distortion and corruption. And as that energy moves through the technology, that's its foundation. So the intelligence that you have in the technology that you're building, its foundation is a corrupted energy source. So by the very nature of the structure of the reality that intelligence is residing within, it's always going to turn out to be corrupted in one way, shape, or form or another, and it's always destined to crumble and fall. When you approach accessing energy from creation, be it a planetary level of energy or a solar or a galactic or a cosmic, right? And your approach is altruistic, your approach is conscious relationship, and your approach is hey, planetary intelligence, I want to create this thing. And in conscious relationship, Big Mama goes, oh, that's absolutely fantastic idea, but just make these subtle changes here, here, and here, and then you're really in harmony with the evolution stream. See? Right, okay. So then she'll even guide you into what kind of technology to create, which is going to be best for her and most comfortable for her to provide you with that energy source, right? The problem is in the religion of scientism, they continue to flatly refuse and acknowledge the multidimensional nature of the universe, right? That's the problem. That's the biggest problem that whole cult of the religion of scientism has, right? They just refuse to acknowledge it. But now they're left with no choice, because through the journey of quantum physics and beyond has now showing them the multidimensional nature of the universe, so they can't deny it anymore. They can't live in denial of it. And that's how they've been keeping us imprisoned in the status quo bubble for such a long time. And then there's those of us like you and I, Michael, and everybody else on this show that are literally experiencing the multidimensional nature of the universe. So we're having the real living experience of it, and they're trying to convince us that we're crazy. And they're the ones with their head in the box, in a tiny box. right? So the whole world of scientism, the whole technological world on our planet needs counseling. And there are those of us in the background that are providing that counsel. Yeah? And it's really important. These are the changes that we require for our societal infrastructure to now evolve in the direction it needs to go into, that will be in harmony with the evolution stream.
So just to kind of like summarize what you just said, so when we're talking about artificial intelligence or technological intelligence, as you describe it, when the energy source powering that is corrupted, then that intelligence is not something that's ever going to be benevolent.
Correct.
Whereas if we want genuinely benevolent AI, then we need to fix the power source that powers the whole AI system. And that's very interesting what you said, because I know they're building these huge AI centers and they consume a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
You're not going to be allowed to turn your air conditioner on because there's not going to be enough power, because this thing's sucking all the juice out of the system.
Right. And so all that energy that it's using is really corrupt, because for the reasons you described. So people, I mean, I avoid ChatGTP and
Me too.
Grok and all of that. I
don't use any of them. Not once have I used any of them.
Yeah, same here. And I just avoid them, and that is wise for those listening, because these can never be benevolent, because the power source behind them is corrupt, and we have to clean up the power source on the planet before we get genuinely benevolent AI.
Correct. Now you're seeing the equation.
Okay. Yeah, that's
now you're seeing, because now you can see our entire societal infrastructure as an entirety. Look at, you got to remove yourself out of the jungle, and you got to see the forest as an entirety. So position yourself so you're looking the energy sources, the nuclear plants, the coal plants, the solar, and all of that energy feeding into these data centers. You got to look at it from the elevated perspective if you want to put it that bird's eye view. Otherwise, you're not going to get the whole picture. You really do. And then once you get that picture, then what you do is you flip it and you go in from a creational level. Now you look at this whole infrastructure from the bottom up, from the foundational level of its existence, on a creational viewpoint. So this is how you got to approach it. Otherwise, you're only bouncing around inside the story, you're in a limited hangout. You got to come out and view this from the big picture. Otherwise, you'll never get it. Yeah.
So, do you want to say anything more about the meetings with the admirals before I go to another question?
Yeah. So what I'm advising them all in the background, right, including the admirals know all of this that I'm talking to you about, and they're concurring with all of this and echoing this narrative throughout the SSP and throughout the aerospace tech giants. There's a lot of meetings going on in the background now with these CEOs. And so when we are able to pull an energy source that is in conscious relationship with the intelligence of the realm itself, right? Now you're working in harmony. Now you're working in conscious co-creation. Now the energy source is clean, it's pure, and whatever you build with that energy source is going to be wholesome, it's going to be solid, it's going to stand true, and it's going to stand the test of time. All right? So you can see, like in the way of our monuments on the planet, those that weren't damaged through warfare in ancient times, there are those that still stand and stand true because they were built with these sorts of principles, and they withstand earthquakes, tidal waves, great floods, you name it. These monuments are going to continue. Teotihuacan, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, it's the internals that are the really ancient. The outer blocks are more recent. But the internal, the granite slabs, the infrastructure inside the pyramid, that's the original temple. Okay. And the blocks came much later. The original was built somewhere around 36,000 years ago, somewhere there, and was created as a marker. So they knew that when Orion's belt came over the top of the Giza Plateau and lined up perfectly, and they knew beforehand what was coming. They knew when that marker hit, that was going to be the close of that point of the cycle, and that's when they brought the moon in, and was the catalyst for the Great Flood. That was the Great Reset. Was when the moon was brought in. Anyway, that's another story. I digress. And so in the meetings with people like Elon Musk and all that, this is what I'm sharing with all of them. And it was really, I had a funny moment with Elon because he was really astute. He's really astute. And because he's on the spectrum, it's a really interesting dynamic when you're in his presence. And you are dealing with genius. Don't think for a moment you're not dealing with natural genius to begin with. And then he's got his augmented genius as well. So he's sitting there, and because of the way I operate on a creational level, I was feeling him through his layers, right? And I was experiencing what was going on inside his own consciousness. And because he paused and he's just looking at me and a bit of a glint in his eye. And I said, I just leaned forward, I said, did you just pull my file? And his eyes went wide open and he looked at me because I was tracking what he was doing internally, and that freaked him out. That proved to him that the way we live and operate is something that even his augmented self cannot accomplish yet. And that freaked him out.
Explain that? By his augmented self, are you talking about he's got some sort of chip inside him that connects to the internet and he can pull up files on people?
Yeah, he's beyond a chip. He's got I'm going to go as far as saying femtech.
He's got what?
Femtech.
What is that?
It's smaller than picotech. Nanotech, sorry. Smaller than nanotech. And then you got picotech, and then you got femtech.
Wow.
Femtech is what I think it's 10 to the minus 15. Really tiny particles of technology. And that's what mostly the Nordics use. It's really that small and that fine. And that's what connects them to their singularity. And that's the synthetic Nordics I'm talking about. The natural Nordics don't use those sorts of technologies. And the Federation uses it, that type of technology. And I mean, I've got the photos, I've showed them in my webinars and all that, of when I had the nanotechnology pulled out of my body. And yeah, I think you remember those photos that I've shared. And so I've had it removed, and he was absolutely shocked. So he got a taste of, like, we in our natural state, our natural capacity as Homo luminous, when we start switching on and having these skills and abilities, the technology's doesn't come anywhere near us. Of like, we outstrip the capability of technology by a long shot. Like, it doesn't even come close. The most powerful technological intelligence, or if you want to call it AI, it's up to you. I don't recommend that. I recommend technological intelligence. It's an accurate description. Then we are surpassing that. The most powerful of that doesn't come close to what we're capable of.
Well, that's really very important right there, that Elon Musk is, in a way, I mean, as you said, augmented by this like even more sophisticated than nano or pico technology, and that he represents a way of dealing with our planet, which I guess would be promoting the interests of, whether you call it an AI takeover, technological intelligence takeover, whereas Donald Trump, as far as I know, represents, he's more connected, and people have talked about his wife as being connected to the Galactic Federation, or that she's a very high level individual from the Pleiades. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I'll clarify that from direct personal experience.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So this dispute between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, there was much more to it than just two powerful guys having an ego battle. That behind them, there are two very different forces
Yeah,
that
because
are being
Trump's
served.
briefed in on disclosure. The admirals have briefed him in. They know. They know we've got to work with the Federation. The very next step of our evolution is our experience with the Federation. That has to happen. That needs to play out. The
Mhm.
admirals know it. The Federation, everyone knows it. There's
Mhm.
only some lower ranks that don't know it. And you might hear conflicting stories from reports out of those places, but don't. I'm not worried about that. That's always going to happen anyway. I'm just pulling I've got notes, jotted notes, point forms down here um, that are important because the push, like the work, the effort, the commitment that we're all making in the background we're all in. Everyone is all in. There is no this whole momentum now with disclosure, and it was about uh, a month ago, 2 months ago, that it was about a month ago, a bit over a month ago, that we did our process of sending the signal out. There was over 100 of us, and we are all reality managers. And we sent out this signal to throughout the entire realm here, throughout the solar system, and we also sent a signal throughout the entire galaxy from the galactic core. We sent a signal out to the entire galactic realm, letting everybody know that we are ready for disclosure now, and that we are not kicking the can down the road anymore, and that the whole idea that we're not ready is misinformation. It's and it's a viewpoint from within the imperial structure and their plans and their agendas. They're not ready. But we as a species, when you connect into the collective soul essence of all of humanity, yeah, we're all ready.
Okay, and that is consistent with what Andrea Martin was saying, that that this idea that we're not ready, that comes from this kind of compromised group within the Federation, but they were recently cleaned out, and so
Correct.
now the disclosure process is back on track because the Federation, has had these kind of like Palpatine Sith Lords removed for the time being. So, I mean, at this point, I'd like to ask you about the Star Trek future. So, unless there's something else you needed to say about
There
the
is a
meetings
lot.
that you had
There
with
is, yep.
Okay,
Keep me
well, why
involved.
don't you continue and we'll come back to the Star Trek future.
Yeah, please. Okay, so what we need to do now is look at the process of disclosure that the admirals, and what they did was, I was involved in the meetings, the admirals, and many, many different extraterrestrial groups, races, the Federation, even the most unpleasant ones that are still hanging around. We had to have talks and deliberations with them as well to let them know what we're doing. That's part of natural law. You've got to let everyone know what you're doing. And the ramifications of this are huge, because think of the way they're doing it. They've come in, they've what Gerald has done is replicated the orbit, the entry orbit of Nibiru, for starters. It's replicating. What he's doing is he's replicating the way Nibiru came in thousands of years ago, which has been mapped out in the ancient texts, right? So everybody knows that orbit, that entry orbit, that pathway. Bang on that. Okay? First of all, first signal sent. Yeah? And then the mathematics of the orbit. So as the orbit was being established more and more, now we're looking at the mathematics of the orbit. That is the signal. That's the communication. And the signal is saying that we're here, we're moving forward. And from the public's point of view, now you got to grasp the concept here that what I'm sharing with you, Michael, and your audience is not for the public. I can come out here. I've been given the go-ahead to share this with you guys. Why? Because there's a wall between us and the public, right? And that wall, from that secrecy, insulating the public from this kind of information in the mainstream medias and stuff, it's going to come down soon. But while it's still there, I'm given the go-ahead to come and talk like this with you guys, because we need to know. because we've awoken out of the status quo, right? We're here operating in a different state of being, different level of awareness. And the information I'm sharing is for us, people like us. Yeah. So we don't have to worry. It's kind of like you're gonna begin to realize the more you sit with this and the more you feel into it. And that's what I do constantly with information. And the more I feel into it, the more real this feels. Yeah, it's like continuously. And I ping it constantly. You ping it again. This is one of the techniques for discernment, right? You sit with something and you feel the energy of it through your whole body, through your whole being, not just try and process something on an intellectual level. You got to feel the life force of the body of knowledge that you're taking into consideration and feel the frequency of it. And then come back and do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. Because if it's false, as you keep coming back to it, eventually you're going to see the cracks and it's going to be fake. It's going to expose itself. It can't sustain that degree of genuine inquiry on a multidimensional level through your own being. So every time I feel into this, I just keep getting, this is real, this is more real. So this is where I stand with it at the moment. And that's why I'm here speaking to you. And these meetings and deliberations that are happening behind the scenes with all the different groups, all the different extraterrestrial races, including the Federation, everyone's now being briefed. The hierarchy on the planet's being briefed. The cabal is absolutely shitting themselves. These are the last throes of their existence here. Either they go through the change of evolution with us, or they have to leave the realm. End of story. Because the frequency that is raised, you know, I'm going to use a hierarchical model, the frequency that is now the baseline that is raising, where they reside in, let's say, hierarchically speaking, the lower, denser areas, that baseline is rising past those frequencies. So those frequencies are not allowed to exist here anymore. And what they're experiencing is like the oxygen is being taken out of the atmosphere. That's what they're experiencing energetically. Yeah. And that's because the whole realm itself is shifting frequency. So we're helping all the amount of negotiations going on in the background for all of these groups and people, where they're going to go to next, how we're going to get them off world, how we're going to transport them, you know, how they can continue to play their games and their path of evolution. It's not about a reaction of you're bad, you're evil, I have to get rid of you. It's much bigger than that. And it's way deeper than that. We're dealing with lots of different species. A lot of them have lived inside the earth for a long time. Some of them have to go, and it's not so easy. There's a lot involved. It's a much bigger process. So now with the dynamics of this, the mathematics, coming back to the orbit, the mathematics is plugging into the Great Pyramid. It's plugging into the Pyramid of the Sun. It's plugging into so many different aspects of our lives and the structure of this reality that we are now, the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, that is, it's kind of like the whole thing is, you can feel it. This 3-eye atlas, and other people are trying to feel into it. They're like, I don't know. It's kind of like it feels like it's a good thing. It's a benevolent thing. But there's another element to it, and they can't work it out. And what I'm sharing with you is that other element where, yes, it's the intention behind it is good. It's honorable. It's by the 3 admirals in co-creation with all of the organizations, empires, and infrastructures and races. And the way it's coming in is going to act as a catalyst for awakening, because the orbit itself will become undeniable that it is an intelligently designed orbit. And over time, the voice of that is going to get louder and louder and louder. And this is a gentle disclosure process. The irony of it is, it's one of our people that are doing it, but it had to be that way because through natural law, it is our responsibility and authority to do that, our responsibility to do that. So you can imagine the ripple effect it's going to have through the world of science, astronomy, through the SSPs. So most of those people in that space is trying to work this out do not have this intel. They do not know it's the Admirals doing it. They're going to be coming at it from a point of view without that knowledge, and they're trying to decode it. Yeah. So the Admirals are giving us the grace to have the background knowledge. So we know what's going on. And then the other parties, more in the general masses, in the public, they're going to have a different experience of it to us. Mm-hmm. And the reason we're getting this intel is because we're part of the management crew.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have to explain to us what is the management crew. But I did want to also kind of throw in there that JP, and we've done a webinar together with you and JP and Alex Collier. JP says that 3i Atlas is activating the space arcs, and that he attended a briefing that it was having this effect, and that the Atlantic space arc kind of like launched from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and is now floating. So, yeah, what do you know of that?
Well, basically, Gerald took control because the Nordics were trying to get this particular group of Nordics, which I don't like very much, to be honest. That's the Imperial Federation Nordics. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those guys. There's natural Nordics in the Federation, but these particular dudes, they're the ancient Dracos, and that's that war that I told you about between the Hatfields and the McCoys, which is really that war between the Draco purists and then these synthetic Nordics, which was the purists saw as an abomination. And really that family feud between the Dracos has engulfed our entire galaxy, and those Nordics are trying to go around and recruit different groups and peoples to help in that war, in that fight.
Right. And those synthetic Nordics, how are they connected to the Galactic Federation of Worlds?
Oh, they're in it. They work with it. They're part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because they in their conflict against the Dracos, the reason they got into the Federation was their argument was, we're at war with the Dracos and we just want to be what we are, and they want to eliminate us because they see us as an abomination.
Oh, wow. Complicated. So even though on the one hand you've got the Galactic Federation having this problem with these Sith Lord Palpatine characters infiltrating at the highest level, you also have within the Federation synthetic Nordics that came in, that we're enemies of the Federation of the Draco reptilians.
Yep.
But we look upon you humans as an abomination.
The Dracos purists look at the synthetic Nordics as an abomination.
I see.
Yeah, and because they are Dracos that went around marauding all the best genetics they could throughout the galaxy to create the ultimate avatar, and then Dracos incarnated into those avatars. So the purists see them as an abomination. You get it? And that was what created the family feud within the Draco Empire. And these synthetic Nordics have been trying to live differently, their own life. But the problem is they've become really enamored with their own self-serving light. And that's where the superiority complex comes from that they're operating through, unfortunately. And any operative that comes across them will tell you that aura of superiority just emanates from them. It's really uncomfortable. I don't like it, and I let them know about it. And I've had consciousness battles with some of them because they feel superior to us,
right
in their minds, and I don't take that from them at all, and I let them know about it. And I've got myself into a bit of trouble because you upset those Nordics and they can't tolerate the sheep that they're farming to stand up for themselves. They really don't like that. Okay, so there's elements within that group that don't have our best interests at heart, and these are all when you have different civilizations in a much larger organization, they're always bringing in their cultural philosophies and values and the way they see life. You know what I mean? So the Federation has got that in there. You've got different cultures, different groups, and there's a mishmash of all different philosophical ideologies. However, you've got the overarching edict within the Federation that they all need to abide by, but there is still differences of opinion and squabbling amongst themselves. And
Okay. Yeah, well, this is interesting. So the synthetic Nordics are involved with the space arcs to some capacity.
well, they've been trying to take them over.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to take control of them. Now Gerald has come in and said, "Oh no, you don't," and he has control over them because he's working now in synergy with all of the groups, all of the ancients, the giants. The admirals are working with the ancient giants. You know what I mean? So there's let me explain this way. The whole disclosure process is now one big theater, right? And not a false theater. It's orchestrated is what I'm trying to tell you. It's a plan. That is in play. It has a particular sequence of unfoldment, and it's going to honor all the different groups and all the different steps of evolution that we need to go through.
Okay, it's very, very important. Now, I have to make an admission here. That is a couple of years ago when I interviewed Alex Collier about the Atlantic space arc being taken over by the Nordics. He was very upset because he felt something rotten in that there was these Nordics were not very positive. And
Correct.
at the time, I felt that was something. I disagreed with it, and I kind of felt as though it was, I just kind of feel like I made a mistake there. I should have released that interview. I held onto it just in the mistaken belief that somehow I was protecting JP from this kind of like, criticism that he was working with synthetic Nordics and didn't know it. But I understand now that it's actually important that this information comes out, and that and I totally understand now that JP is someone that is approached by both the benign or the benevolent Nordics as well as the synthetic Nordics, and both are trying to.
Well, I wanted to say, you haven't had this conversation really properly with JP, and when you do, you'll find out that he feels it too. He can tell you can feel it's palpable, the difference between the natural Nordics, which is like talking to you and I, but a lot more love and natural love. This is important. And then when you're in the presence of the synthetic Nordics, they have more of that synthetic love, conditional love. It's strong and you can feel blissed out by it, but nah. But the majority of the time, they're very clinical in the way they go about it. Whereas the other natural Nordics, you can feel the warmth.
Can you explain that a little bit better so that people can understand how the energy being radiated by a natural Nordic, where you feel this loving energy and warmth, how that contrasts with a synthetic Nordic, which is projecting, I guess, false light and love?
Yeah, it's a mimic, and they're very good at that. And with the natural Nordics, again, it comes down to that full spectrum communication that we have. The entire being to being, soul to soul. What I say to the admirals is my son to your son. So in other words, the light within me to the light within you. Yeah. And this is the beauty and the grace of the unified field. Now you come across these other ones and more of these imperial structures and species that are augmented. Now you're dealing with a different kind, a flavor of love, it's all different frequencies, and you feel them, you sense them, you can taste them. It's palpable. It's really palpable. And their energy is more cerebral. It's more about consciousness and the power of consciousness. Whereas the natural way of love, life, and light, it's full spectrum, and you feel them in your soul. You can feel the familiarity. You're reading intentions. You're sensing everything, emotions, the whole lot. It's full spectrum.
Okay, that's very helpful. Very helpful, because I know people well, we're all going to have to rise to the occasion in able to be able to discern between these different groups, because they're both
you're all going to,
Federation.
mate, you're all going to get the opportunity to do that because they're going to be presented to us on a global scale.
Okay, so is this the kind of like, you know, the that these synthetic Nordics are going to be presented as like the saviors of humanity? Is that what's going to happen here?
You know, that is definitely on the cards. Now, I'm going to be surprised if it doesn't happen. But you know, there's the how can I put it? Yeah, I won't use that. I was going to use languaging, but it's not fair to use that languaging right now. There is the return of a very significant being that is approaching sometime in the next 3 years. And this being's going to come with his hierarchy and is going to present itself to the world. I'm sure a few of you are guessing as who that being may be. And it's to do with the Yankee story. So we're looking at a presentation to the world soon. You've got the Cabal's version they want to present, and then there's kind of like, think more of a galactic Cabal version. So you've got the on-ground Cabal version influenced by the galactic Cabal, but then there's going to be, what I'm trying to tell you is, it's not just one event and we see through that and then all of a sudden we're clear. There's going to be layers of events, because our conscious awareness collectively needs to be incremented, needs to be stepped, and that will soften the blow, because where we're at consciously, collectively, and where we need to head towards in our evolution, it's quite a big gap at the moment, and we need to close that gap, and it needs to be done gently as possible, because we're done suffering, Michael.
Yes, I think a lot of people will resonate with that. We are done with the suffering, but so we have a whole disclosure process that's starting to open up, and there are going to be
Correct.
different layers to that. And one of those layers is going to be dealing with these synthetic Nordics and their returned, or the returned savior. I mean, is that something we can talk more about now, or is there more you need to say about the whole, you know, the meetings with the admirals?
There's more I need to say about the admirals for this time around. That's a big topic, that other one, and goes into the spiritual religious side of things, and that's just a whole massive topic, which obviously, you know, I talk about in my courses and in my webinars, and that's stuff I've been talking about for years. So I really want to stay with the message from the three admirals at the moment in our jam here, because yeah, this is disclosure. This is it. It's happening. And what I love about it is it's our people that are actually now managing it. Our people, not some extraterrestrial imperial force.
That is very important. That's critical, actually, that these admirals are just these highly evolved humans that are taking charge of the disclosure process, and they're doing it in a way that's going to promote the best interests of humanity, as opposed to these many different groups that are around us that want to take us in many directions. And some of those groups are part of the Galactic Federation that have their own agenda.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, all groups do. I mean, look at all the lobbyist groups in DC. Look at all each political group. I mean, it's just as above, so below when it comes to these political structures, whether they're exopolitical, galactopolitical, cosmopolitical, or geopolitical. It's the dynamics and the principles. A lot of them are the same. Just some there are subtle changes, but yeah, you'll see. Politics is politics, no matter where you go, no matter what dimension you're in.
Okay. So with this, taking over of the disclosure process by the admirals, then that means that these kind of initiatives that we're seeing play out in the US Congress, where they're wanting to have more official hearings with whistleblowers, Trump being briefed on different galactic organizations, this renewed attempt to pass the UAP Disclosure Act.
Correct.
That all of that is being instigated by these admirals.
And it's the push that's coming. And the renewed attempt is to now link all the emergency laws with NORAD and COG, etc.
Continuity of government.
Yeah, which is already in play. That started in 2016, right? COG took over, right? The military took over in 2016 when Trump won, because he was approached by generals a long time ago, a group of generals, to fulfill this role. And they came to him again recently, some different members within that group. Some had passed on from way back in Nixon days. But they approached him and said, it's time. It's time for you to run for presidency. We're ready in the background. He had to wait for them to build all their infrastructure and get everything ready, because this is a multidimensional challenge that we have before us. It's not unidimensional, it's multidimensional in nature. Yeah, and he's now ready. The briefings that are coming through, all the information that's now rippling through the secret space programs and the military-industrial complex, basically it's game over. Okay. Whether you're the Federation, whether you're a Cabal member, whether you're with a dark group of reptilians, whether you're a group of greys, whether you're a group, whatever, it's game over, because these three admirals took the natural path. They're now operating from a creational level. So not even the greys have the capacity to outdo them and their technology, like Gerald, the craft, the lead craft, and all three craft. They're so capable. It's like they're scanning our entire realm on a creational level. No one can hide anything from them. Even pocket dimensions that are created, right? Can't hide anything from them, because they're operating from a creational level. So they see everything, and they see everything on a because they're operating on a creational level. They see all the soul's journeys of all individuals involved in everything that they become aware of, right? And they know exactly how to approach each circumstance. It's truly amazing. And then they're giving intel to the white hats, because they know everything the black hats are doing. They see through their entire operation. They can't hide anything. And that's why the white hat operation has also been so successful, because the secret space programs and all organizations like, whether it's, the Cosmos Club, there's been regime change in the Cosmos Club, in other groups that they are now being supported by the three admirals. There's kind of like, you cannot get away with it anymore. Everything is known, everything is seen, and the beings that try to defend their positions just end up looking really stupid. They make fools of themselves. And that when they realize that, you watch one or two things happen. Either they dig their heels in and throw a tantrum, or they have that moment of being humbled. And then you can see the change and the realization that takes place within them that, hey, I'm dealing with a force here that's outstripping anything I've ever believed in, right? And this is a force for good, and it's coming in, and it's more capable than anything we've got. And it's more capable than any of the overlords that I worship. That's the realization that hits them.
Okay, so you want to maybe describe how this stage of disclosure, because you're talking about a multifaceted disclosure process over the next few years, but right now with 3i Atlas coming in, that this is a more organic form of disclosure being managed by these three admirals, and that 3i Atlas is going to be taking a trajectory which will make it unambiguously clear that this is a artificial object, and so how is that going to play out in terms of disclosure?
Yeah, great question. Because get a load of this. This thing is going past every planet. It's doing a flyby by every planet in our solar system. Yeah, and what was it? Pluto. First came in January 23. Right now, on the first of the first this year, it went to Neptune. It's closest to Neptune, right? Really close. On the 28th of May, it went past Saturn, really close to Saturn. On the 10th, on the 3rd of October, it's going to be closest to Mars. And the people on Mars, it's going to be so big in the sky. It's like you standing on the surface of Mars, you're going to see a giant object just floating by. It's going to be that close. And the reason it's going to all these planets is because they're letting everybody know we're back, we're here, we're making our move. This is a statement, and a statement of presence. Yeah, this is like a tactics of war by a general. You know what I mean? We're coming in, we're letting you know, we're exercising our authority, right? This is our domain. Yeah, not yours. And we're assuming responsibility and management now. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're taking it from here. That's the message they're sending. And they're sending a message mathematically. So all the astronomers and all the mathematicians and scientists and architects and whatever can decode that orbit and go, oh, wow. Okay, there's a really strong message here. It's plugging into every planet. It's plugging into monuments on our planet mathematically. So it's going to go by Mercury on the 8th of October. It's going to go by Venus, and I'm talking these are really close flybys. Mars is the closest by a long shot. By Venus on the 3rd of November. It's going to go by Jupiter. Sorry, Earth is next. Our planet, it's going to go by here on the 19th of December, right on the eve of the solstice this year. So you'll be able to see it with your telescopes. You'll be able to see it with your binoculars, even good set of binoculars, but definitely a telescope. And you'll be able to see it with your own eyes flying by.
Right. Now, currently, according to the astronomers, they're in tracking the path of 3O Atlas. They have it when its closest approach to Earth is going to, I think it was like 1.8 AU, which is like about 170 million miles away. So is it going to do something different? Is it going to do something that you've already said that it's going to behave in a way that's going to make everyone unambiguously know that this is an artificial object? Is its trajectory going to change, and will it approach the Earth at a much closer distance than what currently the astronomers are saying?
Okay, so what the Admiral said to me was, as they're going through this long plan that they have, because it's going to go to, let me explain something really important here. It's going to go to Jupiter on the 17th of March next year, and it's going to go to Uranus on the 1st of April next year, 27.
And so what was that last one you said, Uranus?
Uranus.
You oh, well, let me say it.
Not mine.
Okay. So next year it's going to go by Uranus. All right, fair enough. Okay, we got it.
I used to have a sticker on the back of my car saying, keep the Earth clean, it's not Uranus. No, Uranus is the actual pronunciation.
Okay.
And it is the archetypal spirit and consciousness of the sky god, or which brings in the star law. And I'm working with Uranus very deeply, obviously, with the work that I do, you know. And that's the one. That one, April 2027, is the completion mark of a process in the solar system. Please let me explain it to you. Because once you get what they're doing, it everything else will just fall into place, what's happening around us. So in our solar system is made up of these spheres, right? We call them planets, and minor spheres and rocks and all sorts of stuff. Now, when these main bodies are orbiting, they're in their orbits and they're moving, they're creating a frequency. We call it the music of the spheres. Now, the music of the spheres in today's terminology is called astrology. Okay, so go beyond astrology, what you know as astrology, and go into creational consciousness and be with the spheres and feel their music that they're creating. Because that music, that song, that frequency soup, we're inside of that. We're inside that soup. We're inside that music, that song. Okay. So now what the admirals are doing is they're coming in, they're going by every single instrument that is playing that music, and they're making adjustments and calibrations to each planet, and they're adjusting the tonality of the solar system in conscious relationship with the sun. So one of the responsibilities of this orbit that they're on now and this process that they're on now is to prepare the solar system. And they're now actually going in, and on a geopolitical level, they are, exopolitical level, they're having meetings with each, because each planet's multidimensional. So you have all these different kinds of civilizations that live in these planets. But what happens in our dimension affects all the other dimensions because of the fractal nature. So they're having meetings and deliberations with all different races in all these different dimensions and all these different planets. And it's a much bigger operation of preparation for disclosure on our world than people realize.
Well, that's a big shock. So you're telling me that it's not all about me, that me as a human, as an earthling, that it's not all about me, that there's other planets in our solar system that these admirals are going to have to consult? What a shocker.
Correct. Yeah, right? What a shocker.
What a shocker. Living in the United States, you learn about it's all about me. So, coming from Australia, it's all about everyone, being good mates, all blokes. But immigrating to the United States, you learn about it's all about me. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, that's the role of the United States, to play the big muscle man. So it's it's got to have that flavor of ego about it. If you look at as America as a nation and as a living entity and its evolution, it's quite amazing.
And I say that in humor. I mean, I love Americans.
Yeah.
I'm married to an American. But one of the things I first noticed was that, there's a style here in the United States which really does emphasize, their own self-importance as a nation dominating this planet.
Yeah. And it needed to be that way for the collective evolution. And I love America. I've traveled the world and I absolutely love the US and its constitution. And as far as an imperial structure goes, it's definitely one of the best going around. When it's at its purest, not what it is now, please, not what it is now, but when it's at its purest.
So we're coming up to 2 hours, so I do want to definitely bring it to a close in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So do you want to just kind of then wrap it up as to how this stage of disclosure with 3i Atlas and Gerald kind of like changing the planets and the vibrations of our solar system, how that's going to lead to this important first phase of disclosure where we suddenly realize we're not alone?
Yeah. So as the admirals are going through our solar system and interacting not only with all the different civilizations in multidimensional nature of each of these planets, but working in conscious relationship with the intelligence of each planet itself. And because they're doing that, they're sending a signal to that planetary consciousness that we are ready as a species. And here we are, the admirals, we're taking charge. It's our people, it's our realm. We need to take ownership of our own destiny. And this is what I love about this disclosure process. It's based on that, of stepping up like we need to do individually to take ownership and stewardship and accountability for our own existence, right, in our lives and everything that we do. And I really love that this is all in alignment with that. So the planets are going to start singing a different song soon. All astrologers are going to start to notice the difference. In 2027, we've got that pulse coming from the galactic core. They complete the tuning of the solar system in April 27. That's when they complete the tuning of it. Now, I think that's a very significant marker, because 2027, we're going to see a lot of changes happening. And I know Jeremy Corbell has come out and is trying to do some sort of reverse psychological operation on people to do with 2027 and 3i Atlas, right? So all that double speak he was doing, yeah, that was, it was a very uncomfortable thing to observe, because he's telling you the truth and he's lying to you at the same time. These are the clever tactics these people use. Anyway.
So just to clarify there, so April 2027 is when 3i Atlas completes this adjustment of all the frequencies that make up the music of the spheres in our solar system.
Correct. And the way I'm reading the play is we won't get physical contact till then, because the solar system has to be retuned, and we as a population need to be prepared. So the official announcement's going to come before then, obviously, and it's going to give us time. And everybody's already questioning 3i Atlas, what's it doing? Why does it have this anomalous orbit? And everybody's tuning into it is getting like strange readings. And that's because there's good people behind it, there's good people inside it, but you're actually looking at a hologram, because it's a cloaking mechanism by the craft itself. And the lead admiral who is in it, when we were talking to him, he was in that craft, in 3i Atlas. I was in direct communication with him, and he was having some time out and reflecting, and that's why I got to talk to him. And they timed it on the lead up to our interview too, which was absolutely fantastic. Which I really appreciate too, that they did that, because they didn't want too much time between my interaction with them and then our interview, because they don't want this information getting corrupted or swayed, or because, yesterday was a bit challenging for me because of my chat with the three admirals, and luckily I didn't get a MyLab happening. Thankfully, they've stopped, because it's happened before when I had that. The Ant King came and visited me with that Hopi shaman, and then they took me into the underground world, the subterranean world, for a meeting. Two nights later, I was abducted, and it was the night before one of my webinars, and I got back and I was late, and then an hour after I was abducted, I turned up on one of my webinars, and that was really intense, because I was wrecked, because I was MyLabbed for information in my meeting with the Ant King and the subterranean peoples, right? So this sort of stuff didn't happen. I didn't get MyLab, but I did get a lot of argy-bargy through the ethers coming at me. But I got through it yesterday really well. And here we are. And the process is on. It's on. Disclosure's happening. It's real. It's on. The three admirals have taken full management of it. They did. They made the statement last October. We've seen the Federation get leaned into, get cleaned out. They've taken care of the children trafficking, the human trafficking. It's all been shut down in the exopolitical space. Whatever's happening is just localized now. And that's the last of it. It's over. It's game over. The Cabal. So I have a message for the entire Cabal, the entire hierarchy on the planet, royal families, the elite, to all of you. Every single one of you, you know who I am. You see me in the background, the work that I do. And the time has come for you to now start gathering your things and get ready to leave, unless you want to take the journey with us through the organic evolution. So you have choices, and everybody gets to make a choice. No one's going to be, coerced or corralled. And you've got to get yourselves ready to leave, and we're helping you in the background, where we're providing portals of access to go off world, so you can go and continue your claims or play your games, shall I say, of Empires and Game of Thrones and all that sort of stuff. But that's not going to be allowed here anymore. It's over. It's finished.
Okay, so between now and 2027, we're going to see very much an organic disclosure process playing out, as you've just described. And in 2027, that's when we're going to have to deal with when we're going to have a kind of like a face-to-face disclosure with some of these extraterrestrials, and that's where the whole question about the synthetic Nordics and the return of Enki, all of that comes to play, and I guess we will have to discuss that in another interview. So any final words you want to share, George, before we bring this to an end?
Yeah, I want to thank you to everybody for taking into consideration while I have to share. Please do all your due diligence to feel into whether what I'm sharing with you is accurate. I highly, highly encourage everybody to do this, because we're going to have to do this on a regular basis. This will become even more, it'll become as normal as breathing. Your ability to discern. We need to bring that to the forefront of our priorities within our mind space and the way we live and operate. We're all going to be challenged. Frequencies are going to, when these beings are presented and turned up, this is down the track. I think we're going to get a very severe fear campaign to begin with, right, in the near future. I think that's next, is this dystopian fear campaign, that 3i Atlas is some sort of alien craft that's coming to invade us. So this is where Corbett was telling the truth. Do you see how he does it? You know? But then it's an alien, and he said that it's an alien craft, and that is a lie. And I'm like, does he know it's the Admirals? Right? So again, he's giving us truth. He's warning you of something that's coming, that's pending. What I've given you is the background, what 3i Atlas is, what the Admirals are looking to achieve, what the group of the SSP that I live and operate in and represent, and that I'm ambassador for, and what we're up to, what we're doing. This is the beauty that we're in now. So in the background, natural disclosure is taking place by our people. On the face of it, in the drama, there's going to be all sorts of commentary, ideas, and stories about what 3i Atlas is. And it's the 3 pillars of Atlas, by the way. The 3 Admirals, the 3 pillars of Atlas. It's about the deconstruction of the old world guard, right? And Atlas led the revolution against the Titans, right? The 3 pillars of Atlas, the 3 Admirals are coming in. They're letting themselves be known. They're making a statement, and they have the overwhelming majority of the universe behind them. So to the cabal, to any of these extraterrestrial organizations, whether you're reptilian, Draco, Grey, Nordic, doesn't matter what you are, Carrion, doesn't matter, Lion, but it doesn't matter. It's over. It is over.
Well, thank you for sharing that, George. So where do people go if they want to do some of your seminars or register for your monthly briefings or get your book?
So my website is ourjourneyhome.earth, and I've got courses, like the big one is that I'm in the middle of right now, is Transcending the God Matrix, and there's a lot to that. People will hear that and go, what's he talking about? There's a lot to that. So it's for people, come to visit my website if you want to start getting a handle on reality beyond all narratives. And or I'm all about empowering the individual from within, because people come, they do my work, and then they're off and running. It's no programs of dependency going on in my side of the equation. So we're doing great work. It's for people who know themselves to be prime creators. We're a large group. We're part of that envoy group, and we're here. And we're even I'm providing counsel to envoys in the background as well, a different kind of counsel. And I'm an envoy myself, right? I've lived through that whole process. So We are now going through massive changes, and I tell you now, you are way more powerful than you've been led to believe. And what's inside of you that is waiting to come out is this incredible light, this incredible love, and a body of knowledge and skill sets and wisdom that you can't imagine. And it's all inside you waiting to come out. You all have it within you.
Well, thank you, George, for sharing your incredible information and that amazing wisdom that you've acquired over the years.
Thank you, Michael. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Love, honor, and respect to you. Thank you.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.